Hi, I'm Daniel and I'm the product manager for the secondary team here at Oxford University Press. I manage a team of around 10 learning designers and we work with a bunch of people here at Oxford to create learning resources for years 7 to 12 in all states and territories of Australia. Back in mid-2024, Oxford University Press committed to implementing a Reconciliation Action Plan, or RAP, and part of that RAP was designed to foster an environment here that is culturally inclusive, that values diversity, and that learns and grows. So one of the really valuable things that came out of the RAP was the decision to form the Oxford First Nations Advisory Board. I think this is a really exciting initiative and one that I'm really proud to be working on. We've always used First Nations reviewers to review the content in our products before we publish them. This is a really important step as it ensures that our content's accurate, culturally aware and appropriate, and that's really important to us. But I think one of the things that has been lacking is the ability to include First Nations perspectives and voices right from the start of a project. The First Nations Advisory Board will really be a big change in the way that we work with First Nations peoples to produce the content. Emily, our board chair, will be the head of the First Nations Advisory Board, and the board itself will have 3 committees: the Content Creation Committee, the Content Review Committee, and the Cultural Awareness Committee. And Emily Yates is one of the reviewers that we've been working with for the last few years. So when the decision was made to form the Oxford First Nations Advisory Board, I immediately thought of Emily to become our board chair.
So my name's Emily Yates. I'm a proud Bundjalung woman. My country is up in Casino in northern New South Wales and across to Byron Bay. I am a managing lawyer in an Aboriginal community controlled organisation. I've been there for several years. I practice predominantly in crime. I got involved with the Oxford University Press about 2.5 years ago, roughly. It started as sort of casual reviewing of content, First Nation topics in educational resources, which has now progressed into a consultation process to establish the First Nations Advisory Board within OUP, which we're hoping to have up and running before the end of this year. That was through my connections already that was established at OUP through my reviewing of content. I had Daniel reach out to me and have a chat about whether I'd want to come on board and advise about establishing the board first, and then whether I would want to also be a board member at the time. And I was very, very interested from the beginning, especially because my work that I'd already been doing with Oxford felt very meaningful in the reviewing of the content. So a way to further that and be a part of something more formalised in having a board presence, I think was definitely of interest to me when they reached out. I think growing up as a kid in Australia, you learn a specific type of history and it's not the full story, and it's often one-sided, at least when I was growing up. And my work here so far has been really great to see the changes that have happened from when I was being taught versus now, and seeing what's going out into these educational resources across Australia, and knowing that there would be a formalised process where First Nations voices were consulted throughout all stages in the educational resources here. It felt right, and it felt like an extension of what I was already doing in the reviewing of content, but in a more formalised way and in a broader way as well. So having that impact to make sure that there's change in how we're teaching kids growing up in Australia today, and so that they're aware of the nation's true history. I want to be able to see that there's change, meaningful change in the educational resources around Australia, so that people are informed of our true history and truth telling is happening in all schools. And again, it's been great to see the changes that have happened from 10 years ago even to now, because when I was in high school, 15, 20 years, I don't know how long it is now, but even when I was in high school, there wasn't that level that is in these books that I'm seeing now. And having that impact going forward, I think, is crucial for just the growth of the country. And it starts in schools with kids and learning from a young age all the way up until high school, because education is really powerful, and having a formal presence here and being a part of that, and hopefully being a part of that change and the truth telling, is really important. And to work with other First Nations people who will be part of that process, I think will be a really empowering feeling.